anytime, any day. Why not right now? Stop looking up to your boss and start being your own boss. Don't work for paychecks. Work for dreams with no regrets. This is Cracking the Entrepreneur Code. If you have the passion, we'll create the blueprint. Now, your host. You know him from his 7 tips to build the business you always wanted, and now you're about to hear a lot more. Jack H.M. Wong.
Welcome to the Cracking the Entrepreneur Code podcast show. This is what we are bringing to you today. A successful entrepreneur, and her name is Shirlene Reeves. She is the author of Selling Through Your Heart, a business coach and international keynote speaker. And she is the founder of 3 integrated business programs. I will introduce her later on about what these programs are. But what is so good about her is she is very experienced in talking about 2 things, which I believe you guys are concerned. Number 1, selling. Selling is a very, very sensitive word. We'll ask our guests later on what does selling means. And number 2 is the F word. What is the F word? Not the word, it's fear, F-E-A-R. So we'll talk about what is the word fear meant to her. And first of all, welcome Shirlene to our show. How are you today?
Oh, I am so excited to be here with you. And our distances are so far apart, and I just love technology and how it all works.
But I guess that the success of entrepreneurs really is all about energy, about passion, and we are excited in doing what we do. So I will put on the energy to you. Hopefully I'll get back some. That enable us to have a very excellent conversation in the next 30 minutes. So I would like you, Shirlene, to share with us a little bit about yourself, your background, before we go to the nail of the thread today, sales and fear. So tell us a bit about yourself.
So how did I get here, you're wondering? How in the world could I be doing this, right?
Yes.
Well, sales is so primary, and we do it all day, every day. And the reason that I am where I am is because I built a business. I actually bootstrapped a business from zero to multi-millions. And I've also been in insurance and real estate, and I was always at the top level. I always was a number 1 or 2. Would come to me and say, how are you doing this? You can't be doing it the way they're teaching us. And to be honest, I wasn't. So over time, when I built this business and then I closed the business down because 23,000 people is a lot of people to manage across the United States. And I just decided it was time to let go and step into not being a leader of so many people around the nation, but working with entrepreneurs whose businesses are there, but they're broken. Do you know what I mean?
I know that it's not a good feeling. It's like I started my business. So just let's pretend that I am the one who is sick and tired of the job. Okay, I get out of the rat race and start my own business first time. No experience whatsoever. And I don't know what I want. And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting for someone to come to me. And I learned from the motivational stuff that if I can send the message to the universe, please get me a client. And I've just been waiting and waiting, and no client comes to me. So I begin to wonder, what happened to me? And I guess that the story of that is, since I don't have client, I don't have money coming in, this mindset says it's time for me to admit that it's a failure. Sorry, too bad. It's a failure. And I go back to the job. Sounds familiar?
Sounds very familiar. Or they say, I've paid so many coaches, but I'm still not seeing any results. That's another favorite
that is
I
another
hear.
favorite one, yes. So what happened to these business owners? Is there anything they can do before they even step out of the corporate world and start their own business?
Oh, well, fear. It's all about fear, because people who have been coddled on the job. They may not like the job, but they've been coddled and they know they're going to get that paycheck every 2 weeks. I don't know in your country if it's like that, but it is here. Just depend on it. It becomes like a lifeline for them. And because many of them, there's step-by-step people and there's big vision people. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So big vision people can see themselves get out of a job.
Yes.
But step-by-step people cannot see that, how to get anywhere, and somebody else has to lead them. So people who are in that frame of mind, and both of them are good, and they both need each other because a big vision person doesn't want to do step-by-step stuff. And step-by-step people are there to support the big vision people so that they can get them where that dream ends. Okay,
Right.
They can get that result. But many, many people who are in a job are those step-by-step people, and they can't dream big enough to get themselves out. And as a result, then, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get that paycheck. They're going to be terrified of not getting that paycheck every month because they've already gone out and bought their big screen TVs, right?
Yes.
And the new car
Yes.
and the best baby buggy they can find, that they put themselves in a position where they can't quit.
Yep.
And even if they want to have a business, I would say to them, you never quit your job unless you're making enough money to overcome whatever it is you were making in that job.
So Shirley, can I confess something about my journey? Because this is something that people are curious about what I do. Is that Shirley talk about the step-by-step people. From my profession, I'm deemed to be a step-by-step people. But the good news is that I'm not born as a step-by-step person. It's like I'm a big vision guy. I actually have the ability to see things that most people don't. It's somehow why do I land at the job of being an attorney? It's because would you want to engage an attorney who is a big picture person, but the contract contains huge amount of inconsistency, conflict, and worst thing, typographical
That's right.
errors. So I have to train myself to be a step-by-step person. So that is me.
Yes.
Yep.
And those of us in business have to do the same thing because if we aren't able to do step by step, then you have to pay somebody to do all your technology.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm primarily first a big vision person. I also blend it. So some people are fortunate enough to be a blend between the two.
Yeah. And I would say that the reason why I mentioned that is being a step-by-step person doesn't mean that you end up as either a job hopper or a job seeker or just a forever permanent employee. Or on the other hand, as a visionary person, you will be an entrepreneur and you will be having a successful business because there are always strengths and I don't like to call it strength and weaknesses because weaknesses sounds not positive. I will term it as strength and then areas of growth. I always like to talk about, well, you got your strength, you got your areas of growth, you got to find some way to balance it. Leverage your strength and find means to find resources to help yourself to deal with the areas of growth. So that is how we can be more successful. But before I get to that kind of stuff, like you mentioned, the number one challenge a person being an entrepreneur is fear. Is this fear something that is born with someone, or is that something to do with the environments that we are living in? Like what causes the fear? Why would we have fear in the first place?
Well, I
From your
believe
experience.
that no matter where you live, there's always a fear of failure. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
And you know, what happens is we decide we're going to start a new business, and you tell me if I'm right about this.
Sure.
So we run and tell our parents, we tell our sister and our brother and our aunt and our uncle, and they're all going, no, you're never going to be able to do that. Then you're afraid, oh, I've told all these people this, and now what if I'm a failure? I'll be so ashamed. But I want to tell you something. Anytime we fail at anything, it's a golden lesson in my book. Sometimes I've had some pretty expensive golden lessons, but
Yes.
I learned a lot.
Yes.
I learned not ever to do that again, or I found a way to do it differently. And I think if we start thinking of our disasters, and they really are disasters. I mean, I've made a fortune and lost a fortune 3 times. It was a disaster every time. But you think that's ever going to happen again? No way. right? No way. Our failures are our golden nuggets. And if we begin to think that way, the fear begins to dissipate. And if you are a visionary person who can't do step-by-step, or a step-by-step person who's not a visionary, you've got to have a coach. And while you're working at a job, you can hire a coach that can guide you in the right direction and save you years and years of time. And your failures will be much smaller, because if the coach is where you want to be, then you know that's the right coach.
That's right.
If you've got a coach that's saying, I can show you how to make a 6 or 7 figure income, and they're not doing that,
run away.
You're going to get there.
Run away. Exactly.
You got it.
Run away. Because to me, I am the customer of a coaching service, and I'm also a coach of other people. So I do acknowledge the fact that coach is a cool thing to coach people. To me, it's very cool. Because when you see people get results, that's cool. However,
that's the gift.
That's the gift. But the fact is that when someone asks you, okay, Jack, you are a coach. Okay, but do you have a coach? No, I don't. So if you believe in coaching, why don't you get a coach? Because it is expensive to get a coach. You see, that is where the problem of a lot of my communities people having.
Yes.
Is that they got coaches, but the coaches aren't coached by other people. That smells, that is an alarm.
Well, and here's another thought.
Yes.
The higher up you are, the more expensive your coaches are.
Of course.
And I have 3 coaches. And one of those coaches is $30,000 a year. So think about it. I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't paid those coaches. And even when I coach people, I want to make sure that they make that money back before they leave me.
Yes.
I'm not going to leave them in a position where they're lost. And when people hire me, I'm their coach for life. Yep. And I have people that spin off and make a fortune. I've got one client who just made $30,000 on one account, and she's a coach. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
But she worked for years before she came to me and couldn't get there. And now, because we have identified her target market, developed programs for her, and priced them correctly, she's selling them.
So now there is a very nice path or right time to transition to another big topic about selling. But
I want to say one thing.
Sure,
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
You asked a very, very good question.
Oh, okay.
And you said, how can somebody start a business, or why wouldn't they start a business before they left their job? Okay. I'd like to sum that up for you and say, if they're willing to hire a coach while they have their job, they will springboard into their own business and out of that company. If they try to do it without a coach, you know what the chances are.
Well, I wouldn't be honestly where I am today, because the old saying about in schools never taught us 3 things. 1, never taught us how to start a business. 2, never teach us how to sell. And universally, never teach us how to make money. Which are the 3 important things of a business. As an entrepreneur, if I don't know how to sell, if I don't know how to start a business, there's no way I can be an entrepreneur. And if I don't know how to make money, forget it. So that's why having a coach who is able to do this is very important. So I'm totally in agreement with you. Now we need to transition to the next topic on sales. Just like about you just help your client to make $30,000 because she needs to identify the right market. I got this. She needs to be able to set the price right. I got this. But the problem is eventually, I don't feel like selling to these people. Why? Because I don't think the price is right. Or I myself think that it is too expensive. And therefore, I believe that my customers will say the same thing to me. So what is the challenge of so many people having this inability or fear in sale? What happened to these people from your experience?
Well, I think that they are not standing on a foundation of confidence. When you know what it is you want to do, I take my people's first we identify who it is they can serve the best. A lot of people come to me and say, I can take care of anybody. It doesn't matter who they are.
It's anybody. It's the word is anybody. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
anybody. And, that's a joke because we have to speak to a specific target market. Other people will come along, but you always speak to a specific target market. So my target market are people that are between the ages of 40 and 65. They're in their second round of life. They probably have a business for 2 or 3 years, and they're having a terrible time. Their business is broken.
Right.
And they come to me and say, I'm about ready to get a job. I don't know what to do next. And so what we do, and let me talk about this gal that just made the $30,000 sale. Okay, can we go talk about her?
Love that,
right.
please.
She's a psychologist and very intelligent. She's been out speaking for years, and she could fill a room and walk out of the room and never get any sales. and yes, and she did it over and over and over, and I knew her for about 1.5 years before she hired me. And then we were both on ESPN. Do you know what ESPN is?
Yes, I do. It's the international channel now. Yes.
So she was on first. She got to talk about what she did first, and I was listening, and I was just trying not to shake my head,
You can't help yourself.
I know. And then, because she was trying to work with entrepreneurs and big corporations at the same time. And that's an entirely different language, right? Because entrepreneurs are business owners. Corporations have employees and bosses and managers and all. A totally different language. And so I heard her talk on ESPN, and then she heard me talk, and I pinpointed it so well that I sold her. And she said, I now understand what the problem is when she took me outside. And she said, I'm not zeroing in on who I need to talk to. And she hired me just like that. And so now we've developed her programs there, and I love to do themes with the people that I work with. So I have a gal that is in New Zealand, and she's a men's anxiety expert. And so we did it all around cars, fast cars and the racetrack. And so these men will order the Mercedes, the Rolls Royce, or the zippy, what is it? A Mustang, okay, that goes around the track.
Yeah.
So we changed all the terminology to racetrack talk.
Wow.
And even in her book, all of her chapters are outlined in racetrack, and the men love it. So they'll come in and go, oh, I'll take the Rolls Royce. And they just do lay out their credit card, right?
Yep.
But we pinpointed that she would only speak to the men. She would speak to the men's language, and she still gets the women anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to matter, but she focuses on the men. Now, the woman I just told you about earlier that was on ESPN with me, she had the problem of talking, like I said, to corporations and entrepreneurs and in the room that way at the same time, and trying to talk to everybody, and nobody understood her. So now we have outlined and developed their courses, and hers are all around boats because she is going to be a commodore at a yacht club next year. And so everything is the power boat, the sailboat, and then the yacht. And the yacht is for her events that she's going to have.
Yeah.
And she's selling to the military. She's selling to corporations. She's doing great.
Yeah.
But it's all because we pinpointed and developed those courses around what her people wanted. They're easy sell courses because it's all about what her people are looking for. And we use their words and phrases in the marketing. Do you see how it works?
Yep, perfectly. So my target audience in my consulting world is, unfortunately, I like it or not, I attract only males. I don't attract females to a certain extent. I don't know why, but I serve a group of people. Yours is 40-something to 60-something. Mine is somehow 21 to 34. Again, I have no idea why, but it's the result of the advertising campaign that shows me. And they said that they've got problem of getting out of the rat race. They want to start their business, but they don't know what to do. So for me, I know my target market pretty well, and that's the reason why I can do what I'm doing right now. So you said the same thing, Shirlene, because if you don't know who you are serving, by just saying, everyone, I can serve anyone, everyone, then the idea is you will never get anyone coming to you.
Exactly. That's the problem. But when you use their words and phrases and you actually speak in a way that they can hear you, then they call you. You don't have to chase them anymore.
Yeah, those because in such case, I believe that we become the sounding board or the mirror. So they can see themselves, they can reflect on themselves and say, gee, I now know what's the problem. I need help. And the moment they need help, they will give you a credit card straight away, really fast. This is the best moment of coaching or consulting service. They sold themselves. No, you don't need to really push it, and the sale happens.
And I don't know, I'm in the US and you're in Asia,
Yes.
and I think the difference for us is in that age group, they raise their children, they're putting shoes on their feet, they're sending them to school, and they don't have a lot of disposable income to pay for extra things. And when I coach my clients, I try to get them into the 35 or older, because at least at that age, they have some disposable income. The kids are more grown. They're still saving for their college, but they have a bit more money to work on themselves. So that's why I focus on an older age, because there's a lot more disposable money to pay for my services.
Yep.
And that's something that your group needs to think about too. Even if they're on the younger side, if they really know what they're doing, focus on an older age group so that they have the money to pay you. And they don't have to ask their parents.
Precisely. The fact is that sales is not it sounds very simple if you figure out or if you manage to crack the code. At the same time, sales is not easy if you haven't experienced it or you are not good at that, simply because your mindset already takes you out of the game. So I want to ask Shirlene very, very important question. You talk about selling through the heart. Is I have only heard the selling through the heart from another mentors of mine. It is actually a couple by the name of Jesse Coren and Shala Jacobs. Yes,
I know Jesse and Charla
well. That's the only time that I heard selling through your heart selling conversation. So tell us your version of heart selling conversation. What is it about?
Okay, so for me, it's in the 3-step sales waltz, and I trademark that because it's what I've always used. And the reason I wrote my book, Selling Through Your Heart, and it's all about empowering you to build relationships for financial freedom. Okay. Because in today's sales world, it's all about that. It's all about building relationship. So when you look at the 3-step waltz, step 1 is getting to know the individual. Don't run and sell them. And I tell my people, listen to what they say, ask intelligent questions and let them answer you. And as soon as they start asking you questions and you're answering them, you have lost control of the conversation. Yeah. Because it's all about speaking from your heart, really listening, doing active listening, paying attention, right? Yep. Isn't that right? Correct. Is getting to know somebody. And because otherwise you're known as pushy and people run and hide out in the restaurant to get away from you, the restroom rather. Yep. Or run down the hall. Have you ever seen that happen? Oh no, he's coming. I don't want to talk to him. Let me get away from this. Yep. And they run and hide. Whereas if you walk up to them and go, wow, I'm just so happy to see you. Tell me how things are going with your family, or how are things going with your business? And then they're all over it, right? And usually with me, I'll say, how are things going with your business? Tell me, what are you doing? What big thing are you doing right now? And then that's all they talk about. Yep. But if you start saying, oh, and I have this and that, and then you're done. That's it. It's over.
So asking question, active listening. I like the phrase, learn from a mentor. Be interested, not be interesting. That is also very important. It's like the question that I have is always like, how do I connect with somebody? It's also not an easy task. Like to you, well, because if you actively listening to a person, ask intelligent question, is that something that is skill-based? It's like some people learn how to ask questions very fast. Some people said, no, I don't know how to ask questions. I have not been trained. So is it a skill-based thing or is it born with a talent?
It is a skill, and it's all in the book. I tell everybody, I think introverted people have a harder time. I'm introverted. Believe me, I'm introverted.
Me too.
And I really have to push to do things like what we're doing right now, or stand on stage and speak, even though I do a lot of it. But I really love talking one person at a time. I love doing it.
Okay.
And it's easy when you're doing sales and you're talking to one person at a time, because that one person wants to be heard, they want to be understood, they want to be cared for, and they want to know that you have an interest in them. That's what it's all about. So even if you're introverted, you can certainly walk up and introduce yourself.
I love the fact that having conversation with one-on-one is always easier to speaking to a group. And the challenge of speaking to a group is that you may not be able to fish out what exactly they want, because there is a group of people, they may have different wants. And how do you ask questions to get 100% knowing what they want so that you can make an offer of your product or services? It's always harder to do that. So I love that one-on-one conversation.
Don't go into a group and try to talk.
Yeah.
Just wait. If you want to talk to somebody specific, wait until they move away from the group, or find people that are not in a group and they're kind of looking around wondering who the heck they should be talking to.
That's right.
They're the perfect people.
And that is how selling without selling comes about. It's like you are just having a conversation, and then you begin to notice that, okay, that's the time perhaps I know I can do something to help the other person. So when that is the time, I will have to make the request and then ask for permission to review the offer, and then it's either a yes or no. You know what, Shirlene? Well, it's very easy to say all this, but it took me a very long time to overcome all these challenges. I mean, like when I first talk about like selling, I have all the limiting beliefs and say, you say a lot of doubt, procrastination, uncertainty. So selling, like you said, is really all about how confident you are. Yeah.
Well, and the confidence comes from the courses that you develop. You follow me?
Yes.
Because if you have a foundation to stand on and you have your courses developed, then you know exactly who you're talking to, you know how to talk to them, and you are very, very clear about what it is you have to sell. So when you're looking at conversation and you're talking to the person, you're looking for the innuendos that people need help with. And when you got somebody that's just wandering around, you easily can walk up to them and say, wow, this is really tough, isn't it? Being in a room with all of these people. I bet you're as uncomfortable as I am. Now, you may not be uncomfortable, but you know they are. So right away, you connected from the heart because you were feeling their pain.
Yep, exactly. I just would love to have more time, because I do recognize that sales is a very big topic. Can I just make an offer that I would like to bring you another time, so that the other episode will focus a lot more on sales, which is the sales maybe 202, maybe 303, whatever it is. Well, as entrepreneurs, we always say, I have no idea how we do this, but that's the idea, and we'll figure out how to do that. Would it be okay with that?
All right. I would. I'm here when you're ready.
Okay, sure. So to end this episode, would you be able to share with us where we can find your book? Where can we check out more about what you do so that they can understand you?
Absolutely. You can certainly, I have some kind of a fun thing that they could do. They can go to my website at maximizeyourwealthnow.com. Okay, now, forget the now, because we want you to maximize it now.com. Okay. And you can take the quiz to find out if you compel people to work with you or if you sell, really pushing hard. And there's only 12 questions there, and you'll be surprised at how it is. And you get your answers right there.
Okay.
And under the resources, I have one called Free Stuff, and there's over 20 different videos and PDFs and everything you could use for your business, because these are the things that I've heard people need the most. So they're more than welcome to go and sign up for the free stuff and get as much as they possibly can.
I'll make sure that our group of people are informed so that they can go and check. I'm not a hard, pushy salesperson, but you want me to be a hardcore sales guy, I can do that. But you know what? It's not natural. It's not natural for me to do. And it uses a lot of my energy to do it. So at the end, the bottom line is that, do I need to be like that?
But then you get rejection. You got rejection then.
Yeah.
And then they're telling you, oh, don't worry about the rejection. Just go on to the next person. It's about the numbers. But when you do the 3-step sales walls, you never have rejection. There is no rejection.
Yes.
Because people are either going to buy from you or you're going to refer to somebody else that you know and love, and they're going to have business also. So everybody that you talk to can support either you or someone else. So if you think about it that way, there's no wasted time with anyone.
Love that. And thank you, Shirlene, really for a very great content rich, which is so rich that I cannot have her only on one episode. I promise you guys, I'll bring Shirlene back at another point so that we can talk about selling, which is a very important topic another time. So thank you, Shirlene. Yep. So we'll conclude this episode, and I'll bring on another guest next time to share with you the wisdom, the intelligence, and obviously his or her experience to help you take your business to the next level. So until we next meet, Jack Wong here, your host of Cracking the Entrepreneur Code podcast show, and see you. Bye-bye.
To continue cracking the entrepreneur code, subscribe for more episodes and download the Amazon bestseller, Cracking the Entrepreneur Code, 7 Tips to Build the Business You Always Wanted at crackingentrepreneur.com. Learn more about author and host Jack H.M. Wong and book your 30-minute discovery session to overcome any professional challenge at jackhmwong.com/apply.